3,000. That's right, we've flipped more than 3,000 profitable houses and can teach you how to do the same thing. Click the Academy link for your free roadmap to financial freedom.
Hey everyone, it's Michael from Houston, Texas, and I wanted to give a quick shout out and a testimony for Peter. And if you're like me at all, you might have thought that getting into flipping houses was too much time, too much effort, didn't know enough about what to do or how to do it, to make it a reality. And for me, I've always been interested in real estate and flipping in particular, and I have some really good buddies that make some serious cash doing just flips. And like I said, I just thought it was too much for me to handle. And if I was going to do it, I was going to do it right. I was going to learn from the professionals that could teach me A to Z how to do it, how to make money, how to be the most effective and efficient at doing this. And I ran into Peter's videos on YouTube, and it was instant. I was like, yep, this guy's pro. He knows exactly what he's doing. He's got amazing success, but he's also got the experience and the know-how to teach me, somebody that hasn't done this before. So huge shout out. I've learned more than I thought I would. I'm a quick learner, guys. And I learned a lot more than I thought I would in a much shorter amount of time so that I can do this full time without thinking about it. His program's awesome. Check him out on peteracademy.com if you haven't already, and good luck.
Hey, Peter Vekselman. So today I want to talk to you about limiting beliefs and views. And here's what I mean by that. Sometimes there's things we do that we only do them because that's where our belief and our knowledge stops, and has nothing to do with our capabilities. Meaning, if we kind of change how we believe about something, we're able to do a ton more. And this actually hit me yesterday. I was actually in my backyard yesterday, which I love spending time in our main house, and we got this unbelievable fire pit. When you look at one side of the fire pit, you have this incredible woods and trees behind you, stream that you could hear coming. When you look at the other side of our fire pit, we got kind of an indoor-outdoor place with a bunch of furniture and couches and indoor-outdoor TV set there. When you look at the third part of our fire pit, we're about 20 feet away is a hot tub that's actually suspended up in the air attached to our house. So it's just an incredible place to be, and I love spending a lot of time there with our family. But yesterday I was out there by myself, and I was just making a fire. And something I've done for years now, ongoing. And when I make fires, what I usually do is I kind of make a little teepee of wood around the fire pit, and I put something in the middle, and I crank up the fire. And because of the way I build it out, the fire is always pretty much the same way. Well, yesterday I was kind of thinking about some stuff, doing some strategizing in my mind. And what I did, instead of just like making one layer of the teepee around it, for some reason I made like 4 layers. So it was like big. And I did what I always did. I lit the fire out. And within 5 or 10 minutes, that fire was like 5 to 10 times bigger than it ever has. Now, I know listening to me, it's like a no-brainer. Well, no kidding. You put 4 times the amount of logs in there. But for some reason, up until yesterday, my limiting belief when it comes to making fire was that it's just you put 1 layer across, and whatever happens, that happens. I was capable of doing 4, just wasn't thinking about it. So that's my question to you. What are your limiting beliefs in this business? And what are your limiting beliefs in this business that are actually possibly holding you back? For instance, maybe you're only sending out 100 mail pieces on a weekly basis. Maybe you're only negotiating 4 or 5 deals at a time. And maybe you're only submitting 10 or 15 offers every couple days. Maybe if you like doing rehabs, you only got 2 or 3 projects going on constantly. Well, why not send twice as much direct mail out? Why not literally start making twice as many offers? Why, instead of consistently having 2 rehab and renovation projects going on, why not have 4, 5, or 6 going on? See, sometimes you're just not capable of doing it. I got it. But I bet if you start really evaluating your business, a lot of things you're doing are not because you're not capable, You're just not thinking beyond what you're doing. You've kind of just settled in, that's the norm, that's how I do it, this is the results I'm getting, and you're kind of going with it. It's that old adage of you don't know what you don't know. So my challenge to you is simple. I want you to look at your business, what you're doing, from the front end to the back end. Whatever strategies you're using, whether you're a wholesaler, a rehabber, a renovator, whether you're a builder, whether you're a flipper, whether you're a buy and hold renter, whatever it is, draw your whole business out from A to Z and see what is holding you back from a perspective just strictly limiting beliefs. Because see, those are easy to change. You don't have to spend any more money. Most of the time, you don't have to even necessarily invest any more time. A lot of times you don't have to bring new people on board. Bottom line is those are not the things that are going to cost you even, effort or time or expense or anything like that. They're all up here. I challenge you to draw it out and see how you can accelerate your business by just simply expanding your limiting belief of what it is you're doing. Hi there, Peter Vekselman. So one of the things you always hear me talk about it, and whether you hear me talk about it or not, one of the things you absolutely know you need in this business is you need to have the right people around you. I mean, real estate is a people-driven business. It's not a one-person show. You need contractors, you need realtors, you need maybe bird dogs, you need property managers, closing agents, money people. I mean, you name it, it's all focused around developing the right team. And that's the thing that we always talk about, developing the right team, developing the right team, developing the right team. And many times when we think about developing the right team, what we're talking about is from the skill set. Does that person know how to do that? Does that agent know what they're doing? Does the contractor know what they're doing? Does the closing agent know what they're doing? But there's something that's, in my opinion, just as vitally important about that, potentially even more important about that than that. And that is, can you trust those people? See, I could tell you in my real estate career, especially in the beginning, when I didn't understand this trust aspect of it, I got hurt tremendously in this business. It's cost me literally hundreds of thousands of dollars working with the right people, but untrustworthy people. So for instance, if you think about it, every single one of those people that I mentioned has the ability to really screw up your deal for you. So if you're working with an agent, can you trust the agent to bring you the right deal with the right numbers? Do you trust them that that's a good deal they're bringing you? When you're buying a piece of property and you're talking to a realtor who's going to sell it for you, is that realtor really trustworthy to say that they can sell it for $100,000 and then when it's time to sell it, maybe it's only worth about $70,000 or $80,000? Contractors, I mean, you don't have to tell you about contractors. We hear about them, forever and ever, but contractors are such an important aspect of this business. If a contractor tells you it's a $20,000 renovation and all of a sudden turns into a $30,000 renovation, that could mean the difference between making 8 or 10 grand or losing 8 or 10 grand. Closing agents. I mean, I've heard horror stories about closing agents that do shortcuts, all the way from not recording title work to doing improper title searches to not even knowing what they're doing and closing deals that have liens on them and things like that. Money people. Are your money people doing the right thing for you and how they're setting up and structuring your deals with the terms they're giving you and the length they're giving you? See, if you have untrustworthy people involved in your business, in any aspect of your business, it could literally destroy deal after deal after deal after deal after deal. Even if you have everything else going on, one untrustworthy individual, even if they know what they're doing, could be a tremendous problem for us as investors. So when you're looking for people, when you're developing your people, when you're developing your team, you got to look for two things. One, obviously, you got to have the right skill set. You hear me talk about it all the time. You work with the skill set, you work with the skill set. But number two, are you working with somebody that's trustworthy? So how do you find that out? Over a period of time, we all find out whether or not we're working with somebody who's trustworthy or not. But unfortunately, a lot of us don't have the time to check out people while we're working with them to find out in the middle of deals we're working with someone untrustworthy. So be smart, just use common sense. Most people have the right skill set. Guess what? There's a reason they got a skill set. They've done it in the past. So ask for references. Talk to people they worked with before. Go look at projects they've done. See who their clientele base is. See the quantity of business they're doing. Usually untrustworthy people get weeded out, and although they may sound great when they talk to you, when you ask them what else they got going on, all of a sudden they hem-haw and give you a bunch of excuses why they don't have a bunch of stuff going on. So just use common sense approach to figuring out if somebody's trustworthy. And again, the ultimate way is once you give that person some tasks, once they perform those tasks, when they come back right, over a period of time, that's when it kind of seals your decision-making process about whether or not you're dealing with somebody with trustworthiness or not. Remember, working with people that are trustworthy, absolutely critical part of this business. Hey, Peter Vekselman here. So I want to talk to you about something today that actually came up, I think last week. I was in a part of a national conference call and I was being asked questions by a number of different individuals. And one of the questions was actually by an investor that was in the middle of a deal. And the question went something like this. You know, he's trying to get a deal closed. Then the seller of the deal requested something be done. And his conclusion was, so the deal's dead. Now, I can't really remember what that something was, but it had something to do with a cost. You know, is there something that the cost did not work out? In the end, it just literally ended up being some kind of a $200 alteration one way or another. Bottom line is, it was an issue that could have easily been solved. So I remember I kind of piped up in that conference call and I said, wait a second, the deal's dead because a seller, sometimes it's a buyer, put a little roadblock into it? See, my whole point is very simple. There are no clean deals, meaning that go from A to Z with everything vanilla in between. I mean, every single deal that we do here, and we do a ton of deals, every single deal's got a story behind there. And the story usually goes like this. We're starting, we're stopping, we're restarting, we're stopping, we're restarting, we're stopping. The stops along the way are the challenges that happen. Either from the seller side, from the buyer side, from the number side, from the people involved side. It might be construction people. It could be could be title issues. It could be missing heirs if there's some kind of a probate situation. I mean, every single deal has certain challenges. And my point is this. So many of you that listen to me, and I hear this over and over, deals come to an end for no other reason than a challenge that could literally be overworked. Worked through. So let me give you an example of a deal we just closed here a couple days ago. And we just made a nice little assignment fee on it of $8,800. So not a bad little flip, a quick flip for about $9,000. Let me tell you the story behind this deal and how this relates to some things that you may have done. So the seller literally started driving to this closing 3 hours before closing. Okay? So he was coming across state borders. There was a time zone difference. So we knew for a fact, our office knew the seller had left his house. And the next thing we know is that seller literally disappeared. I mean, not to be heard from. The closing was supposed to be at 9 a.m. At 11 or 12, I remember sending a text back to my office. I asked Mary, I said, we had a couple closings that morning, and there was a big emphatic no by this one. And I said, well, why didn't it close? And she texted me back, she said the seller disappeared. I mean, it literally disappeared. We couldn't get a hold of them. The phone wouldn't, it was one of those things that you call him and the phone would go right into the voicemail and all this. The deal finally closed 24 hours later. What this office did, really specifically Mary, I kid around about it, but it's so true. She literally turned the earth upside down. I mean, and again, I don't really get involved in the everyday details of every deal, but there were discussions of getting private investigators involved. This was a rental property, so there were people sent to the house to talk to the renters to see if there was alternative phone numbers. Remember, this person was coming from across state. We had people go to his work. We figured out, and remember, it's not like we know where our sellers work. We had in that 24-hour time frame figured out where he worked. So we had people going into there. I mean, we literally, and again, all behind the coordination of Mary, turned the world upside down. Somehow the seller was found because that same day, around 9 or 10 o'clock at night, I got a text from Mary, seller found, we're good. Closing tomorrow. And that's exactly what happened. Closed tomorrow. So bottom line is this. How would you react? How would you react if your seller literally disappeared off the face of the earth? No return calls, no interest, no response, no communication, nothing. See, a lot of people would look at that as a potential, well, done deal. He doesn't want to sell. He's avoiding the calls. Anybody that wants to sell would return a message. You know, along the way of every single deal, there's things like this that happen. So very few times, you know, this is an example I use. When you're talking about title issues, I always tell people I work with, there are almost no title issues that are unsolvable. Now, there are some worse titles, there are some better titles. There are some easier issues, there are some tougher issues. But I can't remember, honestly, maybe in two fingers, out of the 15 years I've been doing this, thousands of deals where literally two issues were unsolvable. Well, guess what? When it comes to real estate deals, I'm telling you the same thing. Very, very few issues that are preventing closings from happening are unsolvable. They may not be easy, they might be challenging, they might take time, they might take effort, they may take money. I mean, we've literally actually spent money on deals we didn't even own yet to make the deals work. I mean, we've literally fixed up certain properties that we didn't even own yet, that we were flipping out, wholesaling out, and our back-end buyers need them, so we would go in and do it. I mean, I've spent thousands of dollars between the time we start a deal and between the time we close a deal. You could say I risked thousands of dollars. But look, if you want to make thousands of dollars and do it in big, huge numbers, you got to somewhere along the line be able to assess your risk and know when it's worthy to take the risk. My point is this. Beyond the thousands of dollars you may have to spend to make the deals work. Those are very unusual cases. My point is this. Almost every single thing that's preventing your deals right now from closing, they're almost all solvable. You just have to figure out, how do you solve them? How do you appease your seller? How do you make your buyers happy? How do you work with your contractors? How do you get that agent to understand what price you really need it at? You know, how do you maybe help your title company when there's 10 different heirs and they need 10 different signatures, but you're just another file in a stack of 1,000 files? You may have to help them out with that. Figure out what the issues are in your current deals. If you got deals going on, figure out why they have not closed, chart out the problems, and then be very proactive in solving those problems. And sometimes you have to solve the problems yourself.
Hey there, this is Peter Vekselman. So today there's going to be a unique opportunity. I want to teach you how you as an investor need to work with agents on the acquisition side. See, there's many different opportunities, even in today's marketplace, to do deals with agents. So watch as I go into the local Century 21 office and talk to a bunch of agents and position myself in their atmosphere, in their network, in their sphere of influence for them to start getting deals from me. Watch what happens. Number one, I got a unique vantage point in this business. I'm kind of a little bit of an outsider looking in, and I can tell you I've been around, I've seen all the brokerages, I've seen everything. For those of you that are here and you're maybe wondering about where you are in terms of an operation, I can tell you what these guys have, an absolutely first-class operation. You know, what Terry's done, with Rob and Robert and Debbie, I mean, absolutely first class. I've seen them all. I get around most of the brokerages out there. They've developed really what I consider to be in a phenomenal environment here for you guys to be successful. You know, with support, training, people, tools, resources, everything they have in hand. If you're at all doubting whether or not you're in the right place, I can tell you unequivocally this is the place if you want to be successful. Other thing I just want to take a second and say, and this is really for those of you, because you know I was there. I started here about a year ago, and I hit what I felt like a wall working with these guys for a while. And I know some of you feeling the same way. You know, you're doing what you think you're supposed to be doing. You're paying the price, you're putting the time, you're just not where you want to be. I can tell you where my turning point was here, and I think for any of those of you that are in that position, you may benefit from that. My big turning point happened when I decided to go with what I consider, and I guess it's not just me, with the top agent here. Okay? When we brought Kimberly on board about 4 or 5 months ago, single-handedly since then, she's got 100 of our listings on board. We got closings pretty much every week. I know we have them every week. And everything is absolutely churned for us. So here's my point. If you are kind of hitting your head against the wall right now, if you are frustrated, if you're not kind of where you want to be, my only encouragement to those of you guys, because you are in the right operation, you know, it seems like the top agents here are working a team environment. Okay? It just seems like that's where it's at. What I would encourage you guys to do in this room, there's I'm sure a number of agents that are very top, have top of the line teams. My encouragement to you is you connect with those teams. Simple as that. Do whatever they ask you to do. It's not what they ask you to do, it's how well you perform it. And if you perform it, whatever it is, whether it's putting signs up, cleaning the toilets, or maybe getting a couple listings here and there, if you absolutely excel in their environment, they will notice you. You'll get propelled in that infrastructure, and I think in the end, that's the quickest way to grow in this kind of environment. So, having said that, now let me tell you what I'm here to do. I think there's a benefit for every one of you all to know me, okay? My main gig is I'm an investor. I'm a large investor. There's weeks where I buy 10 properties in a single week. My biggest issue is I'm always looking for more inventory. That's my biggest thing. We need inventory as a company. Let me give you 2 instances that happened right in this office with 2 agents right here in the last couple weeks. And this is the scenario that I want you guys to be aware of that I'm looking for. One agent happened with my wife. She went out there, she got a listing appointment, she got the listing, she always does. I think the listing was for $160,000. She got back the very next day, the seller calls her and says, you know what, there's something I didn't tell you, I'm in the middle of a divorce, I gotta get out. I know we can get $160 for it, but I gotta make a move. What can you do to help me out? So I bought that property. I guess I'm closing on that property tomorrow for $104,000. Another scenario happened the very same week, and again, I'm just telling you what's just happened the last couple of weeks. The second scenario happened just right that same week, and it's a property actually I closed on last week. Same scenario. Agent goes out there, gets the listing, 160, 150. Before they even get home, the seller calls, says, we got a situation we can tell you about, we're in foreclosure. We know we can get 160 or whatever. We don't have the time to wait. I get the call. I closed on that property last week for I think about $111,000. That is the scenario I want you guys to be aware of. It's not something you have to go purposely out there and look for. This is not something I want you to, change everything you're doing. But I want you to be aware that I have the ability to go in the right circumstances and make decisions pretty quickly and get people out of the wrong circumstances. Okay? It's not going to happen all the time. It's not something you're necessarily looking out for. But when those scenarios happen, I would like for you guys to call me. It's an easy sale for you. We're not going to go in there. We're not going to beat them up. We're not going to make them fix things. We're not going to do any of that. It's a clean cash deal. We can get them to the right price. Fairly quick closing. You're making your commission. Sometimes there might be even an opportunity for you to make commission on the back end because most of my stuff I resell. Okay? Any questions on that?
Yes, let's clarify. So I bring you a deal. It's
Right.
a desperate scenario.
Right.
Do I get paid on that deal that you
Yes.
buy?
You make your commission on that deal that I buy. Correct. And then potentially there's an opportunity to sell it. I'm not going to guarantee that's going to happen all the time, but if there in certain circumstances there is even an ability to make a double commission on the front end and then the back end, potentially on the back end, but always on the front end.
Do you have a price range, max?
No.
Maximum price range?
No. Well, yeah, maximum. I mean, I'm not an investor that's going to spend $10 million in a home, but my sweet spot tends to be in the low ones. I can take very comfortably down anything $500,000 or below. Any other questions as it relates to that? The best way to communicate with me is just through my number. I'm going to leave you a stack of cards right here. So if you have a scenario like that, please be aware that I exist. Easy to deal with, easy to get along with.
That's debatable.
And I can make the move. Here's the other thing. Here's the other thing. Terry told me not to talk about this too much, but I'm going to let it out. The other thing we're doing here is we're developing a team. Top of the line team. It's part of Kimberly's operation. What we're doing, I got an office a couple miles down the road. We're taking hundreds and hundreds of seller calls on a daily basis where sellers are calling us looking to sell their properties to us. Within the next 2 to 3 weeks, what we're going to start doing is my people are going to start qualifying these people, make sure they want to sell now, and they're gonna be handing these leads. No, not even leads, they're gonna set appointments for the agents, and all you gotta do is go out there and close it. It's an absolutely phenomenal opportunity. It's a laydown. It's a qualified person. It's no longer a lead. They talked to my people. They got qualified. They want to sell. They want to make a move. We're doing this with Kimberly under her logo, under her umbrella, under her team. So you would have to make some, I guess, mechanical adjustments. But if you're interested in that, best thing to do is just talk to Terry and he'll kind of walk you through the steps. It's an application-only process. We do require that if we set appointments for you, you run them. We'll set 2 to 5 a day for you, easily, no problem. So if that opportunity you think is something you want to apply for, talk to Terry, and we're going to bring on probably about 3 to 4 new agents to do that with. All right, that's it.
Thank you, Peter.